we covered 3 topics. What did they think today, now, after or now we're still during the pandemic, the future or the today future, because we're not talking about the future anymore. We're talking about the now and the present. Where is learning sciences? Where is knowledge translation? Are we where we need to be able to respond to this situation that we're all living since early this year, as well as technology? We were thinking in October, 10 years down the road, and obviously now we were articulating and sharing about that's not all what we were talking about in October is now occurring today. The other area, we became a little more specific around looking at the role of governments. And because we were focusing on Europe, obviously the role of governments has enhanced. So here's some of the key points that emerged from today's discussion. And in relation to the learning sciences, it was clear that we have a long way to go. The science itself is not out there to really provide us as much insights and validation of the impact of a virtual learning world. And we're talking now from grade school right through to lifelong learning. So there is an urgency and a need to really investigate and research this. In addition to that, though, there are a lot of new players in this space, from Google to Amazon to Facebook and so forth, that we need to look at collaborating with, because they do have technologies and they have the means to rapidly respond to the needs that we might have in the space of learning, CPD, et cetera. And however, one of the things that emerged today from learning science is that it's giving the opportunity, this new virtual reality is giving an opportunity for more access, especially we talked about in other sessions during this conference about the feminization and the growing feminization of medicine, where more women are coming into medicine. And there is an opportunity moving into the future and the now to give access to mother physicians that are, at home and that we know are willing and wanting to access education and their own development through more a virtual world, as well as obviously some of the various countries, developing countries, that it makes it more difficult for them to attend live meetings, our traditional ones. So there is, the now is now. We're not in the future anymore. It got accelerated very quickly. When it came to governments, what was very interesting is, I don't know if everyone is aware, but in our group, not everyone was. So the European Commission actually just put out 2 weeks ago, so fresh off the press from Belgium, a 5-year strategy with a priority on education and lifelong learning from 2020 to 2025. And that particular strategy is available in the public domain. And it was very interesting to read. So I really encourage everyone to read it. But so we were talking about that and informing our group about that particular strategy, where the government is really seeing the urgency and need to get more involved, to support, to obviously bring more value. And I think it touches a little bit what Stephen said earlier. It's to value the profession, and it's to value the whole discipline of lifelong learning, education, and to support CPD. And that was really important. The other interesting thing from a governmental perspective is EIT Health, which reports into the European Commission. And EIT Health has an education division where millions and millions of euros are being deployed to support innovation, collaboration in relation to educational interventions, lifelong learning interventions and support. And that was another area that we realized that, that's something as educators we need to be familiar with. And one of the areas that also was discussed is the fact, should the governments have a role in lifelong learning, CPD education? And there seemed to be a consensus that yes. Why? Because in the public systems, obviously it's the governments that are the employers of our healthcare systems as well as our healthcare professionals. So they should have a role. However, on the flip side, the concern was that obviously the bureaucracy, the fact that they're maybe not as nimble, that they would need to, they themselves, improve their operationalization, how they rapidly respond to the needs that are out there in relation to lifelong learning, learning sciences, interventions, technology, digital, that would be a requirement. In addition, though, pre-pandemic, the European Union had already started to put forth a strategy for digital health. And that has been already in the go for at least a couple of years. And now they've obviously, that's been accentuated and put more at a prioritized level because of the pandemic. So overall, that's why we entitled this particular session, "The Future is Now," because all of these things that we discussed at the Futurist Forum from the Global Alliance for Medical Education way back in October, we never thought that 5 months later, we'd be seeing all of these needs and urgencies in relation to technology, the learning sciences, the role and responsibilities of new players like government, be urgently needed. So it was an absolute wonderful dialogue, and again, great session.